You know how family members who have grown old seem annoying? Instead of taking care of them and helping them, you only reproach them and even deport them. That is exactly what happened to the old Donna Maria many years ago. She had become a burden to her sons. But for the old woman, this was to turn out to be great good fortune. In old age, many things just don't work well. Donna Maria was already approaching 80. She was a resolute old woman, but her muscles shook from time to time. Her grandson Romeo often admonished his grandmother to exercise more and go for walks instead of sitting in front of the TV. The old woman knew her grandson was right, but she often did not find the desire or the strength to get up. It was comfortable in her son's house, perhaps too comfortable. She had lived with her son, his wife, and their son for many years. When the boy was born, Donna Maria's daughter-in-law didn't have a lot of time to take care of him, so Grandma stepped in. Lovingly, she took care of Romeo for years, just as if he were her own son. On the afternoon when our story begins, Donna Maria wanted to brew herself a cup of coffee. She was not very tall, and in her son's kitchen the cupboards and the cups hung very high. Donna Maria found it increasingly difficult to stretch. As she did, her muscles trembled more and more, and she lost her balance. She held on to a piece of the cupboard paper, pulled it out, and with the paper, 5 cups flew out of the cupboard and smashed on the floor. Oh dear, if her son saw this, Donna Maria thought to herself. Her son Emilio had become somewhat of a peaked man. He was constantly getting upset when something went wrong. When Romeo entered the kitchen, he just said, "Oh, Grandma," smiled, and helped Donna Maria put the cups away. Romeo only meant well. When Donna Maria did not want to tell her son and her daughter-in-law about the broken cups, but Romeo felt he had to intervene and help his grandmother. He spoke to them. He said, "We need to set up an extra cupboard for Grandma so that she can get cups, glasses, and dishes more easily." Emilio and Marta got upset, and Romeo immediately regretted his attempt to help. He really hadn't wanted to do that. The couple discussed in their own way how best to deal with the doddering Donna Maria. Marta suggested that they take the old lady to her other son Julio for a while. After all, he had hardly taken care of his mother in recent years. No sooner said than done. Without any consulting Donna Maria, Emilio called his brother, but he was anything but enthusiastic. Nobody wanted Donna Maria. Julio insulted his brother on the phone. He accused him of just wanting to get rid of the mother now, and after she had taken care of his own son for years. He refused to take her in. After all, he said, Julio had 3 children and much less money. Furiously, he slammed down the phone, and Emilio stood perplexed on the other side of the line. When he looked at the door, he saw Donna Maria standing there. She had overheard everything. Emilio immediately began one of his expansive justifications and rants. Now he bluntly accused Donna Maria of everything: the broken cups, spilled wine bottles, lost glasses, that she forgets to tell him about important calls, and. Donna Maria listened to everything silently. Then she said, "All right, I understand." She turned around and went to her room. The next day, the old lady was gone. Before Emilio and Marta could make any more plans for the senior citizen, she took her life back into her own hands. After all, she had a small house in the country and land. They were far away. Emilio had tried several times to sell the land, but no one wanted it. Now Donna Maria was glad that she could go back to her old house. She got on the bus, and no one noticed her departure. For several hours the bus drove, sometimes over bumpy roads. My goodness, Donna Maria thought to herself, how long had it been since she had been there? At the end of the trip, she was the only one on the bus. The bus driver had agreed to take the old woman almost to her old house. Once there, Donna Maria was amazed. The roof was broken. The porch had almost collapsed. Donna Maria moved into a cave. Just behind the house was a rocky massif. In it, there were several caves. Donna Maria and her late husband had used one of them occasionally for festivities. There was still a cupboard with dishes, a table, and chairs. With difficulty, the old woman dragged a bed from the house to the cave and settled in. She wanted to rest first after the hardships of the journey and then continue to consider whether the house could still be repaired. The next morning, Donna Maria walked over to her old land. Everything was overgrown and overgrown. Later, she walked to the bus stop and went to the village to get some food. In the village, she survived a surprise. Romeo. He had promptly followed her. The grandson was a great help to her. Romeo immediately took his beloved grandma in his arms and gave her a hug. "Are you crazy just leaving like that?" he had said to her with a loving look. Then he immediately took her groceries and they drove back to the house together in Romeo's car. The grandson was horrified when he saw the collapsed house. He was even more horrified when he saw his grandmother lived in a cave. Romeo promised to help Donna Maria. He had semester break and would stay until a solution was found. Of course, Romeo had immediately notified his parents, but they were ill-tempered as usual. Called him crazy that he now wanted to help the old woman to run away. His father ended the conversation with the words, "Oh, do what you want, but leave me alone." Romeo felt like helping his grandma. After all, he had almost never been to his grandparents' land. As a very small boy, maybe once in a while. But then no one went out, and everything fell into disrepair. The first night, they made a real feast in the cave and laughed a lot together. Romeo wanted to look for better light the next day. After all, one could hardly see anything in the darkness. A surprise for the two. As Romeo continued to work on the light installation the next day, something caught his eye. The type of rock in the cave and the shimmering inclusions told him something. Romeo was studying geology. He actually wanted to work in land surveying later. But he also knew a lot about rocks. Excited, Romeo drove to the village. He came back with some tools. Then he hammered all afternoon in the cave. At some point, Donna Maria had asked, "What are you doing, darling?" "Grandma, I think you're sitting on a gold treasure here," the grandson replied. And yes, Romeo's suspicions were to be confirmed. He had found veins of gold in Donna Maria's cave. Suddenly, Donna Maria was rich. In the days following Romeo's discovery, several experts arrived. They examined not only the cave in which Donna Maria had made herself comfortable, but all of the caves in the mountain massif. It turned out that all of the caves on this supposedly worthless land owned by the old woman contained veins of gold. Why no one had noticed this before is unknown. Probably no one had ever looked for it on the land because no one would have expected it. Donna Maria sold the land to a professional gold prospecting company and secured a hefty share. Romeo also got shares in the gold mines and became Donna Maria's general manager. Instead of surveying land, the grandson successfully entered the gold business. At first, the old lady had not told her sons about the discovery. For months, they thought Donna Maria was dwelling in her old half-collapsed house or in a cave. Neither of them had come to check on her. This was to pay off for both of them. Of course, later they learned of their success and of the discovery of the gold in the country. Then suddenly they remembered their mother. When they contacted Donna Maria, she was already living in a fancy country house very close to the city. There, where the country was wide and nature was beautiful. Despite her advanced age, Donna Maria had become more agile again. She liked to go for walks and let Romeo drive her around the country in the car. Donna Maria lived to be almost 100 years old. She still took cruises in her old age and went on trips to the USA and other places in the world that she wanted to see. She was accompanied, of course, by her favorite grandson, Romeo, who had always stood by her. So he also inherited almost all of the old lady's fortune. The sons and the other grandchildren got a compulsory share, but nothing more. This story, which actually happened in South America, shows very well how fate can guide and direct people. What at first seems like a misfortune can turn out to be a great gain. How did you like the story? Write your opinions in the comments. I'm curious.